For centuries, painters, movies, and icons shaped a single familiar image: light skin, long wavy hair, soft European features. People saw it so often that it became an unspoken default. But when historians, archaeologists, and forensic experts began working together, a completely different picture emerged, one that matches the place, the culture, and the real physical world Jesus lived in. Today, we are going to walk through that reconstruction step by step, using verified historical context, physical anthropology of the region, and forensic methodology used for identifying ancient individuals. This is not about replacing faith or challenging beliefs. This is simply about what the evidence actually says. We start with the part everyone cares about first: facial structure. Anthropologists studying first-century Galilean skulls found that the typical male in that area had a short, strong facial profile, a wider nose bridge, and deep-set dark eyes. These findings come from real skeletal samples excavated from sites dated to the Roman period. When experts used them as a baseline, they discovered that the delicate, narrow features common in medieval paintings did not match the population of that region. For example, if you say something like, "The people in Judea at the time had a northwest Semitic skull pattern," you can follow it up conversationally with, "Basically, that means the face shape was sturdy, compact, and built for the hot, dry climate." This kind of comparison helps viewers visualize without overwhelming them. Next, we move to skin tone. Archaeological genetics and climate-based pigmentation studies show that people in ancient Judea had medium to dark olive complexions. A fair-skinned Jesus is extremely unlikely given his environment, ancestry, and outdoor lifestyle. We know this because populations around the Mediterranean, exposed to similar levels of UV radiation, developed protective melanin levels. This gives you a clear way to describe it. If you spend your life in the sun, walking from village to village, teaching outdoors, building things with your hands, you simply don't look pale. You look sun-touched, weathered, and grounded in the physical world you live in. Speaking of lifestyle, body type is one of the most misrepresented aspects of Jesus' appearance. The traditional soft, almost gentle physique you see in classical art does not match the life of a carpenter and itinerant preacher. Studies on occupational stress markers, tiny changes in bone structure caused by repetitive physical labor, show that ancient carpenters developed powerful forearms, strong shoulders, and a lean core. Combine that with a diet based on fish, bread, olives, figs, and long daily walking distances, and you get a man who was physically fit, compact, and athletic. Not bulky like a modern gym body, but wiry and durable. Something you can say to make it conversationally. Think of someone who walks everywhere, carries lumber, and lives in a world with no machines. That builds a very different body compared to sitting indoors. Now we get to height. People often think of Jesus as tall, but archaeology says the average Judean male in the 1st century stood around 5'5" or 165 centimeters. This isn't a guess. It comes from measurable skeletal remains in that exact geographic and historical context. A height in that range would not make Jesus unusually short. He would simply blend into the normal population. This is actually important for understanding why Jesus could move through crowded places without standing out physically. His impact came from his words and presence, not his height. One of the most surprising areas where movies and paintings differ from real history is hair. The familiar long flowing hair is a European artistic invention. Jewish men of that era typically kept their hair at a moderate length, not shoulder-long waves. Portraits from the period and cultural grooming norms show short to medium-length, curly or tightly wavy dark hair. Facial hair followed the same pattern, trimmed beards, not large dramatic ones. A line you can use to bring this home: long hair would actually be impractical for a man working manual trades in the heat. What we see in medieval paintings is artistic symbolism, not anthropology. Clothing is another area where tradition tends to oversimplify. Instead of elegant robes, historical records describe simple garments: a knee-length tunic, a mantle for colder weather, a belt to hold the tunic close, and durable sandals. Dyes were expensive, so clothing leaned toward natural off-white, brown, or muted earth colors. This not only reflects life in the region, but gives a more grounded picture of how Jesus moved through the world. Something as simple as wearing a mantle of unbleached wool says more about the practicality of his life than all the golden halos added centuries later. The next layer takes us beyond appearance and into environment. If you understand the land Jesus lived in, you understand why his body looked the way it did. Galilee was rugged, roads were dusty, the sun was relentless. A man living that reality would have signs of physical stress, rough hands from carpentry, sun-exposed skin from travel, and dust-textured clothing that picked up the earth of every town he walked through. This environmental realism is crucial because it strips away the airbrushed porcelain image created by later art styles. As one example, you can say, this was a man who spent most of his time outside. His skin would show it. His eyes would squint in the sun. His hair would carry the wind of the hills. Now we put all these components together the same way forensic reconstruction teams do. Start with the skull structure common to the region. Add the muscles and soft tissue thickness based on biological averages. Place the eyes within the orbital cavities with realistic spacing. Add the nose structure typical for Judean men of that period. Layer skin tone based on genetic and climatic profiles. Add realistic hair and beard length. And finish with environmental texturing, slight weathering, sun exposure patterns, and the look of someone who walks the land every day. When scientists followed this exact process, the Jesus they produced looked strikingly different from classical imagery, but deeply authentic to his world. Dark eyes, coarse sun-touched skin, black curly hair kept at a manageable length, a short trimmed beard, strong facial structure, and a compact muscular body shaped by work and travel. Finally, we address why this reconstruction matters. It is not about replacing spiritual interpretations. It is about understanding Jesus as a real historical person who lived in a real environment. When viewers see a Jesus who matches the land, the climate, the biology, and the archaeology, it suddenly becomes easier to understand his life in context. His teachings came from a world of dust roads, crowded marketplaces, hard labor, imperial occupation, and tight-knit communities. His physical reality connects directly to the landscape that shaped him. So what did Jesus really look like? The best supported answer is this: a Middle Eastern Jewish man of the 1st century with the features, skin tone, body type, and clothing typical of that time and place. Not a European figure with flowing hair, but a rugged, grounded man shaped by the sun, the land, and the daily weight of life. Someone who blended into crowds until he spoke, and then transformed the world, not through appearance, but through message.